You can unmute now.
Cool. All right. Welcome, guys, to Advanced Python Week 8. We are going to move on to a new topic today. We are going to learn about Python classes and objects. So I'm going to need you guys to create a new REPL. I'll just link the site again. That's replit.com. And I'll share my screen. All right. And as usual, just log in. I'm already logged in and create a new REPL. Python Advanced Python Week 8 class. Make sure it's Python, create. Cool. So today we are going to learn about Python classes and objects. Raise your hand in Zoom if you've worked with Python classes or Python objects before and you know what they are. No one? Okay, well, I will tell you about Python classes and objects before we start. So basically, like most things in Python can be described as objects, like everything from strings to like numbers, like most things are objects. Objects have methods and they have attributes. So methods are like functions associated with an object and attributes are variables. You may have seen them before, like whenever we have something that's like a variable name and then we have a dot and then like a function name, that is called a method. And whenever we have like a variable name and then a dot, and then just like another variable name, that is called an attribute. Like, and also objects are like instances of classes. So if you can think of every string you can make, like every sentence or whatever you can make as like an instance of like a string class. So I'll show you what that means in more detail soon. So examples using like built-in types. Like for example, you may have seen me use like you know, on a string like the dot lower method, the split method, and so forth. So I'll just do some examples. Like, so for example, there's a string method called lower that makes everything in the string lowercase. So if I print this out, it shows like caps in all lowercase. Similarly, we have like split for strings. Split is used to turn like strings into lists like this. What split does is it like well, you give it like a kind of, if you don't put any arguments here, it'll split based on spaces. So this will be one element of the list it makes. This will be the second element of the list it makes. Numbers also have built-in methods, like for example, if you make a floating point number or a decimal number like this, there's a method called isInteger, which is used to tell whether it is a whole number or not. So 3.0 is the same as 3, which is a whole number, right? So this will print out true. So yeah, these are all examples of like the methods of some of our existing Python types. And remember, yeah, methods are functions that are associated with certain types of objects. So every string has a dot lower method. Every string has a dot split method. Every like decimal number has an isInteger method. But for example, you can't, just do lower on, if you try and use lower on like number, it doesn't really work. Like I'll try doing that. That's like invalid syntax doesn't really have this method. Or if I try and do 3.0 dot lower, it's not really going to work either. It'll tell you float object has no attribute lower. Doesn't exist for numbers. So yeah, strings, numbers, these are all like instances of their classes. Every string you make is an instance of a string. Every decimal number is an instance of a float. Yeah, and you may have remembered in our first week's lesson on lists, all these methods like extend, append, insert, remove that you use to sort of change lists around are also methods. So yeah, as I said, you can think of every string as being an instance of a string class. It's a string object, and every string has access to the string methods. So you can make any string and you can use .lower or .split on it. So in this lesson, I'll tell you guys how to make your own classes. So you're not just stuck with using like existing strings or lists or floats or dictionaries. You can actually define your own classes, just like how you can define your own functions. So basically, if you want to declare like a class, you just say the word class and then you give it like a name. By convention, all class names are like this. Every word in a class name has to have like a capital letter. And attributes, and then it has like an indent, just like a function declaration. So it has the spaces. And then you have like the attributes. I'll show you how that works in a second. Right, let me know if you have any questions about like what classes and objects are, if you didn't get what I just said before. Okay, so creating your own class. So you need the word class, and then you need like the name of your class. So for example, I don't know, if I made like a class called, I don't know, flower, and then you need a colon, that's these two dots here, just like with a function declaration, except unlike a function declaration, you don't have the brackets like this. You don't have the brackets. And then when you press enter, you'll notice it automatically like indents for you. So indent means like it has these spaces. And remember, if you want to indent a whole block or unindent, it's like hold shift and press tab to unindent, and press tab if you want to indent, like this. Anyway, so now I have a class called flower. So now we can add like methods and attributes to it. So like, I don't know, what's an attribute of a flower? It might have like a color, right? So like, color equals red. So this is an example of defining your own class. So this is a class called flower, and it has an attribute, one attribute, and the attribute is called color. Yeah, and so this is called like a class declaration. So similar to like our lesson on creating functions, so when we declared functions, we have to use them separately. So like I've declared that this is what a flower is, but I haven't made any flowers yet. Yep, so like calling functions, after you define them, after you make a class, you need to create an instance of them, or this is called instantiating them. So to do this, you just assign a variable to like whatever you call the class, and then you use these brackets. So quite similar to calling a function, I guess. what will happen when you run the class? You'll see. So after, oh, and remember, like when you have an indented block like this, like everything that is indented is part of your class definition. So if you want to go past your class definition, you'll need to like make sure it's like back to the normal indent level. Because if you did this, like everything here would still be like part of your class definition for flower. So make sure it's not indented. Right, cool. So we'll create a variable called, I don't know, called flower. I'll call it flower. So flower equals capital flower, which is the class name, and brackets. So flower is now an instance of flower. It might be a bit confusing, if less confusing if I name it something different. Maybe I could just call it F. So F is a flower. And then to get it to actually use it, right? You can, so you know how we had the syntax for like accessing attributes? So this, our flower class has one attribute called color. So if you want to access it via the object, so F is an object, which is an instance of the flower class. So f.color. Of course, you need to do something with this, like print it out to be able to see it. So if you f.color and you print that, we will get red. So yeah, red. Right now, every single flower you make will be red because of how we've defined this right now. But I'll show you guys how to make it so like every individual like flower you make can be a different color or have a different, like have different attributes from each other. This is just like the most basic class you can make. It has like one attribute. Yeah, the attributes for every single instance is the same. And it has no methods so far. So, right. So, yeah, and as I think I mentioned in the slide, you can make as many instances of your class as you like. So I can make as many flowers as I like now that I've defined the class. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add methods to my flower. So how methods work is it's the same as a normal function definition, except it's inside your class definition block. And it also has to have a special parameter, a special argument called self, as well as its first parameter. So that works. So inside our flower class definition, I will make a function definition. So remember, everything is still inside your class definition as long as it's indented to the right level. So if it's the right number of spaces in, so here I'll just so like with, that's basically like with any function definition, it's def or define, and then we'll say I'll just, yeah, I'll put a function called say something. We have a talking flower that can say things. I'll actually make it print stuff. So we need to have a parameter called self, a colon, just like with any function definition, and then we'll have it print like I am a flower, my color is color. Oh, you can't actually use. So all right, I'm going to show you what self means. So self means like any of its, like you can use it to refer to any of its own attributes. So if I use self.color the same way that you use f.color outside of the definition, you can actually get it to like use this inside any of its functions. That's why you need to provide the self argument to all its methods, because it needs to have access to like information about its own attributes. So now if I do f.say like this, I'm calling the say function on f, which is a flower. I click run, it'll say I am a flower, my color is red. And by the way, just like any other function, you can provide more positional like arguments if you like. So if you wanted to add more arguments, I'll just make a variable called more, and then I have it print out that as well. So I could say more stuff here. This is just an example. Yeah. So yeah, you can add more arguments to any of the function definitions if you like. It doesn't just need to be self, but self needs to be like the first argument to your method. I'll just remove this. I think. Jerry, do you have a question?
Yes. So for line 11,
yeah.
Between the comma and the self, is there like a space?
Yeah, there's like one space. There doesn't have to be. It'll still work if you don't. That's a space.
And then between. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I was just like wondering.
Yeah, it will also still work if you like press enter. Like if you have like a full line between them, that's still fine. Right, cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Joanna.
I've got a syntax error on the same line.
On the same line? Yeah. If you're wondering about this, like you can always just add like no spaces or whatever. Do you have like your end quote on here? Do you have like a comma between this and this?
Yeah.
Do you have your end bracket here?
Yeah.
Okay. I can have a look at your screen quickly. 1 second.
Okay.
Let me find it. Okay, try sharing a screen, Joanna. Still loading. Oh, you forgot your like opening quote, like your first quote, like the one that starts a string. Yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah. Sometimes when you add a quote, it tries to add a pair of them, which is quite annoying. Yeah, just remove that right bracket. Yep, that should work. Okay, so flower has no attribute. Oh, what you've done is that like so you know how methods need to be part of your like flower class declaration. So line 10 is like not indented, so you need lines 10 and 11 to be like part of your class definition. So like highlight both lines and then press tab once. Don't add the spaces yourself. That's kind of confusing. Just like backspace on line 10. Like undo what you just did to line 10 because adding one space doesn't really work. No, like you know how you added one space to line 10? That doesn't really work. So just like yeah, backspace. Yeah, get rid of the space in front. Yeah, and get rid of that space too. So highlight both lines, like just click and hold on both of them, like just lines 10 to 11. Yep, now press tab once. That should work. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So the reason you need that is basically your say function should be inside of your flower class definition, and in order to do that, it needs to be like indented like every other member of the block. That makes sense. Cool. Okay. Hi, Ravon.
So when at the define say self print, it doesn't show up.
What doesn't show up?
Press play. The after def say self print I am a flower, my color is self color. That part doesn't show up.
Like you can't see it, you mean?
Yeah, when I press go, it doesn't appear.
Like when you press the run button.
Yeah.
Remember you need to actually you need to call it like any function, like any method. Did you have f.say at the end?
No.
You need that. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything to if you define a function but don't use it, it won't really be used.
Now it says trace back most recent call, lost main ply in line 15.
What does it? Line 15, what?
Name F is not.
Oh, do you have lines 13 to 15? Like
Wait.
do you have the bit where it says f equals flower, like here?
Now it's working.
Okay, cool. Okay. Hi, Burden.
It says trace back most recent call last, found main POI line 15 in module f.say bracket, attribute error, flower object has no attribute, say.
Okay, it says it doesn't think that flower has a method called say, or it doesn't have a method or an attribute called say. So did you add the say function to your class definition for flower?
Yes.
So it's here. Do you have it at the wrong indent level? Like, do you have it like this instead of like this?
Let me see.
Because
Oh,
if you,
I did.
if you accidentally did this, then it'll think that this function is outside of your class definition. So you need to like highlight these two lines, press tab. So yeah, make sure your def statement is in line with the same sort of level as color up here.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Hi, Vansh.
Hi, so I've got a problem with line 10.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I've done wrong though.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have a look at your screen then. One sec. All right, try sharing your screen now. Okay, it says flower has no attribute called color. And it's right, you don't have an attribute called color. You named it colors with an S on line 5, basically. That's why, yeah, that's why I couldn't find an attribute called color, because you didn't name it the same.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I think you made some error with the spacing on line 7. That's fine. I think it's where you did self.color, like just go down to where you did self.color and just backspace. Actually, no, you did actually indent it wrong. So basically line 7 needs to be indented as well. Because like, so think of it like your function definition is part of flower, and like for your function definition, it needs to be indented by 1 from where you have the def define statement. So just press tab once, that will work.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's working now.
Yeah, and with f.say on line 11, you didn't add the brackets on the say. So when you call any function, like, so you need the brackets at the end of say. Not like that, like not around both of them, but like the two brackets, like sort of empty. Like, so you need a left bracket after y. Yep. It added a pair of brackets. It's just kind of annoying. Just delete the extra bracket. Yep.
So is that correct now?
Yes, although it's still telling you have a built-in method of an integer object. You did the same thing on line 3 where you didn't add the 2 empty brackets to is integer because that's a function as well. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, oh good.
Thanks.
Oh, welcome. Okay. Cool. All right. Hi, Silas.
Hi. I don't have any errors on my thing, but
Mhm.
it says, it's not writing I'm a flower, my color is, it just says red. And I've tried, I think I've done everything you've done.
Okay, so it just goes up to there, right? It doesn't do this.
Yeah, it doesn't do I'm a flower, my color is.
Do you have f.say down here?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thanks.
Cool, you're welcome. Yeah. Yeah, you actually need to call your function before it does anything. Yeah, like I mentioned in the function lesson, you can define your function, but that doesn't mean nothing will happen until you actually call your function. Cool. All right, on to the next bit. So now we've made a class. Our class has one attribute called color and one method called say. So the next thing we can do is, if we want to, we have like a special thing, a special function that we can use called init, which means initialize. This might be a bit hard to type. It's actually like 2 underscores on the left side, 2 underscores on the right side. I'll show you how this works. So right now we have a flower which can only ever be red, right? This is only red. This is like a flower which is like a thing which is like common to all of them. So what we want is like some way we can initialize a flower to have whatever color we want. So let's say I'll add another function to this. It's usually the first one that's in here. So what do we call init? So underscore, that's 2 underscores, and then init, and init, and then 2 more underscores, and then yeah. And then like with any method, it has to have a parameter called self. And like any function definition, this has to be indented as well. So like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, instead of making, well, this can be, it's like default color, but I'm going to make it so you can pass in a color when you first create it. So let's say, what I'll do is like self.color equals color. So this means that like, so self.color is referring to itself, the object, and then it's saying make my color attribute whatever the user passed in as an argument to this function. And init is not like a normal function. Like you don't normally do like f.init like this. Not normmally. That's not something you normally do from the outside. What happens is now whenever you make a flower, you need to actually like pass in like a color. So actually, if I run this now, it'll say it's an error. Init is missing 1 required positional argument. So line 16 no longer works as normal because basically, so init is called whenever you create an instance of your class. So whenever you do like class name with the brackets, it's calling init. And the arguments you need to add in these brackets are whatever you have in here. So if you don't have an init function, that's okay, you can leave it empty. If you do have an init function, you need to give it all the arguments after self that you've defined for it. So now I can add a color. Oh, I can give it a different color. I'll call it yellow. I'll just comment this out for now. And now it stops complaining. So now I've said that, like, instead of having all our flowers be red, now you pass it a color when you make one. And then everything kind of works as normal. So yeah, now you can make a bunch of different like colors. So you can be like, I don't know, red flower equals flower red. You can do prints red flower dot color. You can do like red flower dot say. So yeah, now we have two flowers. One is called F, the other is called red flower. And they are both different colors. And then we passed in different colors when we initialized it, when we like made them. And that's all possible with this little special function called init, which means initialize. So that allows us to have like different attributes that that when we create whenever we create a new flower or a new instance of the class, we can like define what particular attributes this one has. So now not every flower has to be red to start with. Okay, I'm Mahiko.
Hi, I don't understand what this means.
Oh, okay. Like what the init function is for? Okay, so basically before, I think you know how we had the attribute called color, and like for all flowers, it was red. So every time I'm doing like F equals flower and then this, or a variable name equals capital flower here, I'm making like a new instance of the flower class. You can think of all of them as being flowers, right? Before, it wasn't possible to make a flower that had a different color from red. With this one, whenever I make a new flower, I can tell it what color it should be. Because, so when you make a new instance of flower, it calls the special init function, and then this, then it uses to like basically set its own attribute for this particular flower as being what you just said it should be. Yeah, no, it sounds kind of complicated. Does that make any sense?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Hi, Kahan.
My one says syntax error, invalid syntax.
Okay, did that happen after you put the init function inside of it?
Yeah.
Okay, did you name this all correctly? It's invalid syntax, so it's not like an indent problem, so it's like at the right level. Do you have it named
Yeah,
correctly? Do you remember your
I've
colon?
done it all.
Okay, sure, I'll have a look at your screen then. All right, try sharing your screen now.
Okay.
Okay, you don't have a space between DEF and the underscore. So on line 10, yeah, on line 10, just put a space between DEF and init and like the first underscore of init. Yeah, just click on that and press space. Yeah, that's right. Should be fine now. There we go.
Okay.
Cool. Hi, Carlos.
So like when I run my code, it says trace back most recent call loss from main pi line 15 and module F equals flower type error init missing one required positional argument color.
Oh, okay. I think I mentioned that before. So remember how initially in that line we just had flower equals without any arguments, because before we didn't have this init function, right?
But
We used to have this, and if I leave this empty now, it'll have the same error. It says type error init missing one required positional argument. That's because now I need to give it a color. Did you, so on that line, did you give it a color? Like, did you pass in an argument to flower?
wait, what? I don't have that line.
Oh, you don't have that line at all? Okay, I can look at your code then. Give me a second. All right, try sharing your screen. Let's see what you've got. Oh, okay. On line 14, it should be capital F flower.
This one.
Oh, no, yeah. See, that's fine, yeah. Yeah, just give it a color, like any color. Yeah, yellow. Yep. That should be fine now.
Yep.
Yep, that works. Oh, by the way, your flower class should have like, it should be called like capital F flower. Although it works like that, but it's supposed to be capital F because it's kind of a convention you're supposed to like.
I'm gonna change it anyway.
Oh, okay, sure. Let's make sure that still runs. It looks fine though. All right. Cool.
Yep. Thanks.
You're welcome. Right, cool. Back to main screen. Yep. Yeah, so now we have, yeah, so now we can set any color for our flowers that we like when we create them. And we can like, make as many flowers of as many colors as we like as well. Oh, by the way, an interesting thing is you can actually, it is also possible to like reset your attributes after you've made them. Like for example, the flower I've called F, like if I wanted to suddenly say the color is now going to be purple, I could be like f.color equals purple. And now if I do f.say again, it'll say its color is purple. So you can also set it from the outside as well. So I'll just put this as an example of like reassigning an attribute. So you can also do that from here as well. So if you've made a flower and you want to change its color after you've created it, that's still possible like this. Cool. But yeah, so that is actually, yeah, classes in a nutshell. You can like, you can basically make like lots of different classes that represent like different things. So you can be like, I don't know, I can make another class. I can call it like, I don't know, person. You can say like, in my, and remember like attributes that don't live inside the init function, like these are supposed to be the ones that are sort of, that whenever you create a new one of these, this is like shared by all of them. So whenever you make a new flower, any attribute that is up here is what it's going to be sort of by default. So I don't know, like all people, for example, like when you first create them are like alive, right? So that can be like a sort of attribute shared by all people. And then what else do people have? We have like names. We have like a name, we have like an age. We'll just start with those two. And then we do, inside the init, we assign our attributes, right? So the user will pass in like the attributes, but you need to assign them using like self dot equals the thing. So do self dot name equals name and self dot age equals age. This is like assigning the attributes that were passed in. And then we can have like a function or method called like introduce, where like I don't know, print like let's just say like I am whatever the name is, and then and remember with string replacements, we have this syntax. We use self.name, self.h. And remember this doesn't do anything because we don't have any people. So I'll make an instance of a person, me equals person. My name is Vanessa. My age is 26. So if I do me dot introduce, yeah, basically that. And yeah, you can create classes to represent like lots of different things and their attributes. Like if you had, yeah, if you can represent like animals, cars, more realistically, if you have like, you could have like if you were making like a hotel booking system, you could like make a hotel booking object, which has like the room name, room number, and stuff like that. It's just useful for keeping together like a bunch of relevant attributes together, and useful functions to use those attributes sort of all in the same block, if that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions so far? No questions just yet? Cool. And if I print me dot is alive, it'll say true. Remember, every person objects when they're first created is alive. That's just like with reassigning an attribute, I could just say like me dot like, is alive equals false, and then I've killed the object representing me. Okay, hi, John.
Hello, mine's got a traceback error on line 37.
37. Sure, I'll have a look. Right, try sharing your screen now, John. Okay. All right. You put quotes around both Jemima and 15. So just put only quotes around Jemima because 15 is not part of the. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, person has no attribute introduced. Oh, on line 34, like your definition for introduce is outside of your class definition. By that I mean it's unindented. So just like highlight everything from 34 to 35 and then just, yeah, in the, yeah, tab. Actually your print statement is now a little bit too much indented. So maybe shift plus tab for that line, like hold shift and press tab, yep.
Okay,
Cool, that should work now.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, hi Bench.
Hi, so I've got an indentation error, even though it's on line 25 and it's showing me a red arrow in front of the colon.
In front of the colon, like this.
Yeah, like in front of that colon there.
Okay, yeah, I have to look at your screen so I can see quickly. Yeah, just share screen now on a bench. Line 25. Oh, okay. Your indent level's a bit wrong. Also, the function name is called init, so you forgot like an I, so INIT.
Oh,
Yep. And also your indent level is kind of wrong. See how you only have like one space there? Should be like 2 spaces, so just add 1 more space. Backspace for 1.
And 1 more.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that should work. And don't forget, you have the same problem with introduce as Jemima had, I think, where like on line 28, it's not part of your person class because it's sort of, it doesn't have an indent level that indicates it's inside the person block. Yeah, so yeah, that will work.
And we've got a problem now in line 14.
Okay, all right, on line 8, you've misspelled the init function for flower, so it thinks you don't have an init function for flower, so that's why it thinks that it should take no arguments.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, cool. Everyone good so far? No more questions at the moment? Let's see if anyone has any questions. Okay, so I think someone has a question. Hi, Carlos.
So like when I print it, so like when I run my program, it says that it's an invalid syntax, and then it says it's on line 29 for print I am %s and I am %d years old.
Oh, okay. Invalid syntax. Is it written the same way here? Like, do you have like your open quote here, close quote here, %s here, %d here, and then you have a % sign after here, and then you have like these right and left brackets that surround like these 2 variables here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have a look at your screen and see if I can work this out. Oops. Right, try now, Carlos. Okay, line 29, let me see. Okay, I think you put a comma before your % sign on line 29. So get rid of that comma. Yeah, it shouldn't be that. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, hi Adam.
Hi. So it basically says I am a flower. My color is purple and stops there.
Okay. Did you make a person class here, and did you like add a variable that uses it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a variable which is a person, and you also did me.introduce.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have a look then. Okay, try sharing a screen now. Oh, okay, I see what you've done there. So basically, so the bit where you do me equals person and everything after that, so line 38 to 40, that should be outside of your person class. So that means, so yeah, just highlight lines 38, 39, and 40. Like 38, 39, and 40, not everything there, just yeah, those 3, and then like press shift, hold shift and press tab until they like are at the outermost like level. So hold shift, press tab, do it again. And one more time. Yep. Yep, that's better. So basically, when you create those variables, they should be outside of your like definition. Oh, and also what you've done there is you shouldn't have both Adam and 15 inside the quotes. You should have Adam in quotes and then just the number 15 sort of by itself. So add your end quote there and remove the end quote from after the 15. Okay, basically 15 is like supposed to be like a number, not a string, so you don't put quotes around it. So just remove the quotes from around 15, it'll be fine. Yep, and then what you've done, you've actually misspelled introduce as well. So the first time on line 34, you did TOR. Yep. Yep, that will be right. Says person has no attribute introduce. Oh, what have you done? Oh, okay, you also messed up the indentation for introduce. So remember, introduce is not part of init. Whenever you like indent something, so it's sort of underneath something else, then it's supposed to be, it's almost like part of it. You need to unindent like the entire function definition for introduce, so it's no longer part of your init block. So like highlight lines 34, 35, 36, and 36 as well. Yep, shift tab. Yep, that's the right level. No, you only need to do that once. So press shift once more again. Yep, that level. Cool.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, remember guys, indent level is very important because like if I did this, it's not like the like number of spaces between lines that determine what is part of what. It's actually the indent level. So if I did this, it would be the same as having this be inside of my init function definition. So don't do that. Make sure it's at the right level. Okay, hi, Mahiko.
My computer says I'm having problems with the line 38.
Yeah, is it the same as it is on mine?
Huh?
Oh, what do you have on line 38?
It says here, it says trace back most recent call last, file main py line 38 and module me equals person, brackets Mihikot 11, type error person brackets takes no arguments.
Oh, do you have your init function here?
Yeah, I do.
Is it at the right level? Like it's not like this, is it? It's like this.
Yep.
Do you have name and age in your init?
Pardon?
Do you have the name and age parameters in your definition of the init function?
Yes.
Okay. All right, try sharing your screen now, Mahiko.
Okay. Just hold on, I'm having some problems here.
Okay. Okay. Can you press the share screen button? Okay. Right. Okay, now you're getting unindent does not match any outer indentation level. Okay, yeah, you forgot to indent your init and introduce. So remember, these two function definitions are part of your person class, right? So they need to be indented. So highlight them, and yeah, sort of like that. Make sure, yep, that is okay. But remember now your self.name equals name stuff is part of your init definition, and that needs to be indented compared to the DEF line as well, if that makes sense. So tab. Yep, and then the line below it is, yep, indent that. Yep, and remember self.age equals age is still part of your init function as well, so tab. Yep. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, we're gonna have about a minute left. Maybe I'll just answer Carlos's question. Hi, Carlos.
So like, it says that person takes no arguments.
If it says person takes no arguments, that means it either thinks it doesn't have an init function, or your init, or you've not put the name and age arguments in your init function, or you've accidentally put the init function outside of your person class like this. Yeah. I can have a quick look at your screen to see which one of those things you might have done.
Okay.
Just share your screen now. Oh, you forgot to add the double underscore on each side of init. So it's like underscore, underscore, init, underscore, underscore, if that makes sense. That's how you spell it. Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, try now.
Thanks.
Okay, welcome. That's cool. I think we need to end this about now. Hope you guys have had fun learning about classes. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.